MBK Reacts. Hey yo, welcome back to MBK Reacts. Bringing you guys another reaction to the What If series that we did for ReZero. It's been a minute since we watched a What If story, but I saw some of the comments on some of our old ReZero videos. It was like, hey, you guys should do the Sloth If story. I don't know why, for some reason I thought we already did all the If stories, but I think I do remember we stopped on Sloth, or one of them, because it was spoilers. But now since ReZero, we already know it's not going to be coming back for another 2-3 years, and it's the arc that gets spoiled, they're like way in the future. Yeah. So I mean, like, so even then, these are what if stories anyway, so the only thing that really gets spoiled are like characters and maybe a couple powers that they have. So we're about to do the what if story for Sloth, the Sloth If story. Yes, sir. I think, oh yeah, you already know the boy, Mbk Silas.
Mbk Silas, you're truly Sloth.
He didn't finish ReZero with us, but he finished it. This is back when he was in Detroit, and I'm back here. So if you guys haven't been, watching our videos since ReZero, you should already remember him and all that. But yeah, so I think the Sloth If story takes place during when Subaru and Ram were like doing that whole entire conversation on top of the building. I think this is what happens when he says I love Amelia.
Okay.
I think this might be like a different what if, like probably says I love you, Ram, or no, he probably agrees with Ram and like runs off.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so this is about to be crazy. Subaru go to main character, top 5 in my list on God. Ram, once you wake up, hopefully I don't know which arc she wakes up in, but
favorite girl.
Does she even wake up? Like,
is she my favorite girl? Yeah, she's my favorite girl.
She your favorite girl? I can't lie. Don't call me no lolicon or nothing, but Betty's the best girl. After you learn, after we heard about Betty's backstory and all that, she's the best girl. And Subaru should have been the person that was quote unquote save her out that room, but
I thought you was going to say something.
Oh wait, what? I was gonna say something crazy now, but Betty best girl, I swear to God, she can kill Ram and Ram.
Ram, I'm in love with Betty.
Ram, I love Betty. That would have been crazy.
I would have been like, huh?
She probably would have killed him.
She would have punched him in
She was loyal to Amelia.
She would have murdered him, man.
That would have been crazy. So we're about to right back. Would have came right back and said, "Oh, I can't do that. Can't do that one." So we're about to watch this what if story. You know what to do if you like to have content. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, tell the bell on for our ReZero playlist, so you get notified when we upload the 3 other parts, because this is a 4-part series. Shout out to Edge Nut, whatever his name is. His name's super hard, to Edge the Nut, something like that. Edge the Nut. And if you guys haven't already, if you're new here, make sure you check out our ReZero playlist. We did season 1 and 2, and we did 4 different what if series. So we're about to do Sloth right now. Video starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, I miss you.
I love Betty.
What if Subaru never said the words, I love Amelia? What if he chose Rem instead and ran away with her, leaving everything else behind? In the Sloth If story, Rem and Subaru run away together and live happily ever after. But in order to achieve this happy ending, Subaru had to sacrifice everyone else.
Oh, that means he couldn't have.
Yeah, he could have done that.
Tested, often being forced to choose between a specific sin and a specific virtue.
Greed, pride,
in episode
brave,
18, Subaru faces the dilemma of sloth versus diligence. As we saw, Subaru ends up choosing diligence in the end and actually faces his problems instead of hiding from them. In the Sloth If, this doesn't happen. Subaru chooses the easy way out and runs away with Rem, abandoning everyone he was supposed to save. The Sloth If story is much longer than all the others combined, so I'm gonna have to split it up into multiple parts. This video will cover the prologue as well as the first 2 chapters of the Rem If prequel. Now, I know the prequel was written after the original Rem If, but it's arguably more interesting, and I think it's best we start chronologically anyway. So without further ado, this is the Rem If prequel, the beginning of the ReZero Sloth If story.
Now, he does a heck of a good job doing the what if stories, because I remember watching the other ones that he was doing an amazing job. I felt like I was watching.
Rem and Subaru are huddled up together, sharing a blanket inside a carriage. Rem's wide awake, but Subaru is currently asleep in the middle of a horrible nightmare. In his sleep, he starts mumbling out loud about his feelings of shame and self-hatred to the point that it starts to disturb the other passengers. Remember, because Rem agreed to run away with Subaru, episode 18 didn't happen the way we remember it. Subaru's mental conflict remains unresolved, so he's still suffering from self-loathing, depression, and now guilt as well. One of the other passengers in the carriage seemed to be genuinely concerned for the sleeping Subaru.
Yo.
He hands Rem a piece of paper and tells her to bring it to someone named Halibel. Rem accepts the paper, and then there's a big time skip.
Halibel, he was introduced in one of the
Chapter
other
1,
ones, I think.
2 months.
I think that's the assassin guy.
It's officially
Not even showing
been
the
over
show.
a year since Subaru was transported to the ReZero world, and he's now living in Karuragi, the kingdom west of Lagunaville. Subaru's had to move around several times, but he finally settled in a town called Banan. In many ways, Karuragi was oddly similar to Japan, almost too similar. Karuragian residents eat with chopsticks and wear traditional Japanese clothing.
Hey, that was the best rom-com anime ever.
And the Karuragi accent sounds exactly like the Kansai dialect. So somehow, Japanese culture had infiltrated its way into Karuragi. Was this just a coincidence? I personally don't think so, and neither does Subaru.
Oh, that's interesting. Hold on.
Something strange going on in Karuragi, so if any of my subscribers have a theory about this, I would like to read it.
My theory is there's another reincarnated person there.
Subaru and Rem now share an apartment in Karuragi as husband and wife. Yes, Natsuki Rem was even more beautiful now than she was in the past. Instead of a maid outfit, she wears a blue kimono that matches the color of her hair, which is actually a lot longer now. Rem works as an elementary school teacher, and Subaru is currently unemployed, searching desperately for a job. Rem doesn't earn a lot of money as a teacher, so Subaru feels guilty for making her support the both of them. Their next-door neighbor is a shabby-looking wolf human named Halibel.
Yeah.
If you saw my rap video or you read
I remember that.
you're probably familiar with Halibel already. But for those of you who don't know, Halibel is one of the strongest characters in ReZero. Think of him as the ultimate ninja. He's pretty well known throughout Karuragi, but at this point in the story, Subaru thinks he's just a normal guy. Halibel often makes fun of Subaru for being unemployed and teases him, and their relationship is kind of similar to that of Subaru and Julius, at least in the sense that Subaru acts like he hates Halibel, but deep down we all know how he really feels.
Okay.
Halibel's going to be an important character later, but as of right now, Subaru's number one concern is finding a steady source of income. So he heads on down to the town's employment office and checks the quest board for a suitable job. One of the job offers looks pretty interesting. Investigate Zarestia's bed, it says. Subaru tries to accept the quest, but apparently he's too late. Someone else is already doing it. Now, Subaru didn't know this at the time, but Zarestia's bed is a location in Karuragi where the great spirit Zarestia resides. It's known to be an extremely dangerous area surrounded by deadly wind that kills anyone who tries to enter. The great spirit Zarestia has been around longer than the dragon, which also means they were able to survive the Great Calamity 400 years ago. But all this information about Zarestia is pretty much public knowledge in Karuragi, but again, Subaru had no idea at the time. Anyway, Subaru ends up accepting a completely different job offer. He's going to be working in one of the town's mansions as a maid. Yeah, so Rem teases him a little bit when she finds out, but ultimately Subaru's just happy that he finally has a real job. His first day of work is in 2 days from now, so Rem tells him he better go to sleep early tomorrow. But tonight, the two of them can stay up as long as they want. Yeah, Rem likes making little sex jokes, but the best part about it is actually that she isn't joking at all. 2 days later, Subaru starts his first day of work and immediately gets harassed by all the other maids, which are mostly middle-aged women. Subaru eventually complains to the mansion owner that his ass has been smacked close to 1,000 times. But the mansion owner tells him it's probably just because he has a nice ass. And that's how the first chapter ends.
Okay, so he gets harassed.
Chapter 2, 3 months. After a while, Subaru started getting used to his new job. Eventually, the sexual harassment started to die down too, and Subaru was recognized as a hard worker by the other employees. One day, Ren surprise visited Subaru at the mansion while he was working, and afterwards she waited for him outside so that the two of them could walk home together. Karuragi was beautiful at night, and Rem looked gorgeous with the moonlight reflecting off her kimono. But about halfway through their walk, the world itself suddenly fell unnaturally silent. At the same time, Rem and Subaru both realized that something was wrong. Subaru held his breath as he looked across the street and saw a black shadow standing there. It was a bit taller than Rem, but shorter than Subaru, and he could tell by its figure that it was a thin, delicate woman. Her hair was white, but her clothes were as black as the night sky. It was rather common to see prostitutes at night in Karuragi, but something about this woman was different. There was something about her that gave Subaru a sense of dread. Her glowing eyes suggested that she was something other than human, like she had the body of a person, but was instead something much more repulsive. As Subaru looks at the woman's eyes, he feels a sense of violence and hostility directed towards him, and then realizes he can't move at all.
Dang!
Frozen in fear, he forgets how to breathe and starts losing consciousness. The overwhelming presence increased its pressure to the point that it practically burnt Subaru's skin, and the atmosphere was filled with a strong sense of
how many strong characters from this show?
Subaru just stood there, frozen. It was as if all the courage was drained from his soul. There was nothing he could do besides hope that Rem would protect him.
No, she already dead.
The woman says, as an invisible gust of wind flies towards the unmoving Subaru.
Oh, so that's the wind that's
Rem
basically
grabs it and jumps
killing
over
everybody.
the attack, which vaporizes the area he was standing in. Rem was still a competent fighter, but she was no match for this opponent, especially with Subaru in her arms. Also, the kimono she wore limited her agility quite a bit, so she knew she wouldn't be able to keep dodging the wind attacks for much longer. The white-haired woman continues repeating the word die over and over while blasting deadly gusts of wind at Subaru. Strangely enough, she wasn't aiming for Rem at all. If Subaru could just dodge the attacks on his own, Rem could possibly try to fight the woman or at least distract her for long enough for Subaru to escape, but Subaru couldn't move, so
there's
Rem
gotta
had
be a
no
witch.
choice but to carry him. However, there was nowhere for them to run, so Rem understood that they would both soon be dead. She decides that she's going to sacrifice herself first, because that way Subaru could at least survive a couple seconds longer. It wasn't the happy ending she wanted, but it was all she could do. But the gust of wind that was meant to kill Rem was suddenly blocked by the sound of steel. That's enough, Halibel says, appearing out of nowhere. The powerful wind attack was reduced to nothing by just a small knife being thrown by Halibel. Subaru was shocked after seeing what just happened. Remember, he thought Halibel was just a normal guy before this. He also couldn't comprehend why Halibel was even saving them in the first place. Anyway, Halibel casually starts walking towards the woman, effortlessly blocking her attacks while she continues repeating the word die. Eventually, Halibel asks her the question, which me would you like to be killed by? And then splits into 4 different clones of himself. Each Halibel clone starts making jokes and basically just acting like the original. But the cool part about this ability is that these aren't fakes or decoys or anything. They're actually identical copies.
I don't remember him saying that in the other one.
So he didn't divide his body into fourths, but instead he literally became 4 people. So basically, Halibel's power just quadrupled.
Yo,
seeing this, the woman jumps to the roof of the building next to her, trying to
strong.
3 of the Halibels throw knives at her, and she manages to block 2, but the 3rd pierces through her thin back. She lets out a slight groan and then disappears off into the darkness. Halibel appeared to be satisfied with the outcome when suddenly Rem collapses into Subaru's arms. She was unconscious but still breathing. Still, Subaru was worried that she might have been cursed or something, so he carries her back to the apartment while Halibel searches the town for a healing.
I think healing.
Oh, he said.
Eventually, Subaru arrives at the apartment with Rem in his arms. It's all my fault, he thinks to himself.
Just check out the scene where he gets
helplessly
chopped
Rem's unconscious body to wake up.
Straight up.
After a couple minutes go by, the door opens, except it isn't Halibel. In walks the same white-haired woman from before, except this time the evil, murderous aura wasn't there, and the woman wore a white kimono instead of a black one. Subaru looks at her and stiffens up when he realizes who she is. Hello? What's wrong with you? Why are you ignoring me? The woman says. She didn't seem nearly as dangerous as before, but Subaru knew he had to protect Rem, so he grabs a bucket of water and throws it on the woman. He knew he couldn't damage her on his own, so his plan was to just distract her until Halibel arrived. Subaru charges at the woman, trying to grab her around the waist and use one of his wrestling moves, but she blocks him and knocks him to the floor, telling him, "Just because I'm cute doesn't mean you get to hug me."
Split personality or a twin.
Again and again, he gets up and charges at the woman, who continues knocking him to the floor until eventually his face is broken and his entire body's covered in blood. He knew what death felt like, so he could tell he was getting closer and closer. Regardless, he couldn't let her kill Rem no matter what. After the woman throws him across the room one last time, Subaru is finally too weak to get back up. But the woman doesn't kill Rem. She takes a good look at her and then just leaves without doing anything.
Now,
She
who
let
was this one?
Subaru survive as well. In fact, she never actually attacked him. All she really did was defend herself from Subaru's attacks. It was quite odd because earlier that night, she didn't show any mercy whatsoever. Subaru passes out and wakes up a while later. Halibel's there now with the healer who's currently healing Subaru. Subaru immediately asks him about Rem. Is it a curse? Is she gonna die? What's wrong with her? Etc., etc. The healer replies by telling Subaru he's got good news and better news.
What?
The good news is that Rem isn't cursed or anything like that. She just passed out from exhaustion, so she'll be awake whenever her body's gotten enough rest.
Got tired
That
of
was
carrying
the
you,
good news.
Subaru.
Now, as for the better news, all he says is the word congratulations.
Pregnant.
At
No, I was
first,
just about to
Subaru
say.
didn't understand, so
You're
the healer
pregnant.
makes it a bit more clear for him. Subaru, your wife is 3 months pregnant with your
Oh,
child.
and I think the chapter was called 3 months.
Subaru's eyes open
I think they
wide.
said 3 months.
Pregnant? Rem's pregnant? This new information was
Did they
so
say 3 months?
overwhelming that Subaru couldn't think properly. Halibel tells him that he's got something important to ask him.
Who's that behind him?
Now is obviously not the right time. Right now,
No,
the
he
most
can literally
important
make
thing is
more
for
of this,
Subaru to
like-
spend time with his present wife.
There's
and
another
to
guy
check
in the
if
other
he's the
what is
first
that
that she
stronger than
sees
him?
when she wakes
What's
up.
that?
Halibel tells Subaru that he'll talk with him tomorrow morning and then exits the room shortly after.
what does he
The
have to say?
healer follows him out, leaving the married couple alone together. After a couple
Well,
hours
shit, what was that
pass,
big?
Subaru nervously opens her eyes and says Subaru's name. Subaru gives her a brief summary of the previous night's events, answers all her questions, and then informs her that she's pregnant with his child.
She's like, I
Rem
knew
was
that.
obviously quite surprised, but Subaru restates it again in greater detail just to reiterate. Rem was basically in shock, but she manages to ask Subaru what
Is
he
it
thought
yours?
about it. Maybe Subaru's unhappy about it, is what she was thinking. But Subaru corrects her, explaining that it makes him extremely happy that she's pregnant. He hugs her and tells her thank you, over and over. This causes Rem to start crying, which causes Subaru to start crying, and then the happy married couple hold on to each other, sharing their joy with one another. Rem tells Subaru she loves him, and the chapter ends.
So, oh yeah, 1 month, so she was pregnant
The
already.
same title as this one, so if you didn't get it, the chapter titles are a reference to how long Rem has been pregnant. So between chapters 1 and 2, there was a 1 month time skip, and it looks like chapter 3 continues right where we left off, so we'll probably get to hear what Halibel wanted to talk to Subaru about, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit more about this mystery bitch. She appears twice in the same night, except her outfit, her aura, and her personality were different. The first time we saw her, she didn't say anything except die, but the second time, she's almost got the attitude of a tsundere, and she wasn't even trying to kill anyone. So what's going on here? Are there twin sisters? Are they split personalities? Maybe she's just bipolar? Let me know what you guys think is going on. Also, I've probably made it a bit obvious by now, but let me know if you know who she is. All theories are welcome in the comment section below. Overall, I thought the first chapter was kind of boring, but the second chapter definitely made up for it with some
Still
action that I
better.
totally
Oh God,
didn't
but I
expect.
loved it.
I
Loved
think
it.
Halibel's ability is really cool, and I'm glad we got to see that. And I was also surprised with the amount of information we got from this first chapter. Pretty much all the information we have about Karuragi came from this If story. So even if you're not a fan of Halibel or the white-haired girl, you've got to give this story some credit for what it does right. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of this If story. Remember to give the video a like.
Don't tell me what to do. I just went. So yeah, that was part 1 of the Sloth If story. Right off the bat, white-haired girl, never seen her in the story, never seen her in any of the other What If stories. So this is a new character right off the bat introduced. I wonder if she actually is part of the show, or this is a character primarily just for this What If story. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see the other what ifs, but what's the name? Halibel?
Yeah, he showed up in one of them.
His ability is not normal. Like, that's not normal. Like, I thought it was just gonna look like when he split. I was like, oh, he's just making like some clones or some shit.
I thought he was just going super fast.
Yeah, not all like he's actually making like your spore of him. Like,
Yeah,
like
and they was all telling jokes and all that.
and
Like,
they,
what?
and they all have his power level. Like that's not normal, bro. Like, and you said there's someone stronger than him in the other what ifs. Like,
Yeah, I forgot his name, but he was fighting Reinhardt. And Reinhardt's supposed to be like the strongest character.
he was fighting him or banging him.
Fighting him.
What? That's not right.
Not right at all. So this white haired girl, she might have a split personality, or it might be the twin, or it might be your thing where it's like night and day. Ugh, she might be cursed.
So at night she gotta do one way, but then during the day.
Yeah, because at night she can't even speak besides saying die.
Yeah.
She's like die, 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 and she was only aiming at Subaru at first, but then she started aiming at Halibel, whatever his name was. Once he started attacking. So maybe Subaru in the past or something like attacked her, and she only attacks people that attack her or something like that. Or she only attacks people that might be a threat to her. Because she didn't attack Ren, so Ren might not even be strong enough to fight her, but she probably felt Subaru's presence and like felt the witch on him or something like that. She was like, gotta kill this guy. But yeah,
that's actually pretty good. I didn't think it was gonna be that good. It was actually like,
yeah, the what if stories are pretty good. They're basically canon.
yeah, actually felt like I was I was watching the show. I was like, damn, should have picked Ram.
All right. So now we're about to watch the part 2. So you know what to do, like, type of comment, like, share, comment,
share, turn your post notification on, and ring that bell.
Mbk out.